button. Bad boys. What you gonna do when the organization that has no authority to come after you tries to come after you?
Oh, wow. Wow. What is this? Why ICC arrest warrant matters, even if Israel and Hamas leaders evade them. Oh,
Oh,
so
look
what's
at
going on
this.
here? Someone's out to arrest someone else?
That's right. The International Criminal Court, the ICC, also known as The Hague, is considering, so it hasn't actually done it yet, okay? But is considering, is thinking about issuing warrants for arrest to both the leaders of Hamas, for obvious reasons, and Bibi Netanyahu.
Look at that picture.
Okay, look at that. They're
Baby's
gonna.
like, you gotta arrest me. You gotta arrest me. I'm untouchable.
Yeah, so like when we've been listening to people talk about this, of course they always bring up this, the big thing about like, oh my God, there's the hearing in front of the ICC. Is it a genocide? Is it not a genocide? They say it was a genocide. They said maybe. They don't know. No one knows. Is it a genocide? Who knows? Right? We hear this talking point again and again and again, and it's all kind of like a show. It's all kind of pointless because there's no way the ICC has no enforcement mechanism. It essentially relies on countries to just give up people to them if they issue a warrant of arrest for them. Okay,
Do
in the
they even
first
have
place.
holding facilities or anything like that? What happens if you're arrested by the ICC?
They have some kind of holding facilities.
Okay.
Okay. Apparently, I believe they've done, let's see, it says in the article, it says the ICC, since its founding, has issued a total of 46 arrest warrants, but under half of them were ever brought to the ICC in custody and appeared before the court. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So that isn't a thing. But anyway, so basically what's going on is that some prosecutor for the ICC has issued an arrest warrant to both the Hamas leaders and to Bibi Netanyahu. And let me read to you what these are for, what the accusations are. So this is against the Hamas people, all right? They say extermination is a crime against humanity, murder is a crime against humanity, taking hostages is a war crime, rape and other acts of sexual violence, torture as a crime, other inhumane acts as a crime against humanity, cruel treatment as a war crime, and outrages upon personal dignity as a war crime. So I wonder if, all of the people who are in the very far left, who are very, very anti-Israel, who keep denying the fact
Yeah, I
that
was
there
thinking
was
the same
any,
thing.
yeah, sexual assaults that Hamas has done, but they keep pointing to the ICC as some sort of like, oh, this shows that Israel's doing a genocide. This shows Israel's doing war crimes, blah, 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 blah. Well, meanwhile, I bet you they will remain completely silent that the same organization they're pointing to defend their claim is also accusing Hamas of sexual assault and rape, which they continually deny happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess this is some evidence that maybe the ICC believes they actually did happen.
Well, the ICC obviously does. And actually, there was today very disturbing footage, which we won't bring up because it's really hard to watch, of video of Hamas people who had captured five or six, no, it's five, female hostages and were threatening them with both murder and sexual assault. So,
Wow.
you know,
This was during October 7th or this was recently?
this was on October 7th.
Okay.
They have these five women like handcuffed in a room and there's like dead bodies in the room and shit. And they're like, I think they were in the IDF or something, and they're like, "Oh, you killed, some of our people, so we're gonna kill you." And then, also making weird threats about, sexual violence and stuff. So
Are
pretty
you
pretty
seeing this?
disgusting. Yeah, pretty
Wow.
disgusting.
Ouch.
So that was reported today. But I'm sure they will ignore that because we have to pretend like sexual violence didn't happen, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah.
A
So
lot
so
of the
that was for
weirdos
the
think to say that.
I know it's disgusting. So that's what for the Hamas thing. So for this is what they accuse Netanyahu of doing. They accuse him of, and also the Minister of Defense in Israel, Yoav Gallant of doing, for starvation of civilians as a method of warfare, willfully causing great suffering, willful killing contrary to article blah blah blah, intentionally directing attacks against civilian population, extermination or murder, persecution as a crime against humanity, and other humane acts as a crime against humanity. So we don't know yet whether the ICC court will even grant this prosecutor these warrants in the first place. And then even if they do, it's one of those who gives a crap, because obviously Israel is not going to give up, Netanyahu and the prime minister to the ICC, and obviously Hamas is not going to give up their people to the ICC. So it's just this kind of total weird virtue signal thing. The Vox article, which says like, oh, you know, it doesn't matter even if they evade them because it's like a stain on who they are as people, right? They'll walk the globe knowing forever that they're fugitives of justice from the ICC. And it's like, does anyone care at all? Does
Yeah,
that
I mean, the
matter?
left obviously cares. They'll completely ignore the Hamas leaders being arrest warrants for them, but they will parade around that Bibi Netanyahu is a war criminal and he's wanted by the Hague and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gives them virtue signal rights on. They can make those claims credibly now. So I'm
Right.
sure the left is like jumping for joy that this is happening. I mean, you might not care about it, but obviously they do.
Yeah, well, they will. That's what I'm saying. Like these things exist only for them to point to and say, aha, this validates our claims that, he's a war criminal and there's a genocide, blah, 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 right?
Well, it is kind of nice that they actually included Hamas in this, because like the United Nations made all sorts of like, they wanted a ceasefire and all this, but they never
Mm-hmm.
made any sort of designation that they wanted the hostages returned. So it's like a glaring thing. It's like, well, why aren't you telling Hamas they need to return the hostages? Why are you telling Israel that they need to like engage in a ceasefire, right? It's
Right.
completely one-sided. At least this is, they're covering both sides here. No one will ever mention that the Hamas leaders, there's a warrant out for the Hamas leaders' arrests. No one will
Mm-hmm.
ever mention that, but they will mention Bibi Netanyahu over and over and over and over again
Right. Of
because
course.
he's their guy.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking at your DMs?
No.
Oh, okay.
Someone asked if they know if the girls are alive or not. I believe the article said that they found one of them dead and they don't know about the other ones. So, or
Wow.
yeah, one of them, I think, no, wait, let me, one of them actually was released. One of them was found dead. I think one was released and they don't know about the other ones. I believe. I could be misconstruing that with some other female hostages, but okay. Yeah, it's exactly what you said, even though I was only half listening.
I know you were doing
I
something
was
else.
lucky.
There's some weird shit going on with your audio too. It's like super strange, but
What do you mean?
I don't know. It sounds like you're at the bottom of a well.
Oh, let me make sure it says it's going to my microphone.
Okay.
It sounds different.
Yeah.
What do you, like, chat, is Adam messing with me? What's going on here?
It's sounding better now, but I mean, it was kind
Okay.
of
I don't know,
weird
maybe I
and
was just too far away from the mic.
okay. Maybe you were.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, so this story, I'm sure that, you're gonna have a bunch of people on the left, make a big deal about it. Um, I don't think it's gonna make a difference, but anyway. So that was just a little update on that. Stoner4311 for 11 months says, is there still a comic coming out? And is there still a comic coming out about Villains Anonymous, and your plushies are still hanging in my car with Adam's Tig old pitties? That's right. Remember
Yeah.
Stoner? He put the little breast in your in your plushie.
I do remember the comic. Yes. The comic right now is at the proofreaders doing a final pass on, spelling, grammar, that kind of stuff. So we don't have any typos. Then it's off to the printer, update your addresses on the thing. I'm thinking we might do a stream just devoted to if anyone wants to buy, because look, I might do another campaign like where you can get the comic but with a different cover.
Mm-hmm.
The way these things usually work is you want to make it like a kind of a limited edition thing. So when we do finish this campaign, the books that I print, like that's going to be it for these uh covers in this campaign and all that. Like if I do another, if you get a second chance, you won't get a chance with these covers. It'll
They'll
be
have a
like a
different
different.
cover.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Right. Gotcha.
but these covers are pretty badass. So, like maybe
Especially
you
the
want.
one with me and a pile of women.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want access to that, then this is the time to back the campaign. So, but we should do like a stream dedicated to that. I've been super busy with a bunch of other stuff going on. So,
Hmm.
and I had wanted to go on like Nerdrotic show, Friday Night Tights, do the rounds and kind of try to promote the book a little bit more. But in all honesty, look, I don't have time to do it. So I have a lot going on right now.
Hmm.
So it
Metal
is
Face
what it
Rose.
is.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Moving on.
Metal Face Rose for $5 says, I think BreadTube has discovered Steven Pinker recently and they really hate him. First of all, that's hilarious. If you have any videos of that, send it to me. There's a really long video that we might respond to in some capacity at some point in the future, which is someone really just hating on evolutionary psychology. But it's like
Mhm.
super long, so it's like it will take a while to kind of get through. But I'm not surprised. They've always hated Steven Pinker because Steven Pinker attacks the blank slate, which is what the leftist sort of worldview is based upon. So,
Yeah, of course. They hate Steven Pinker.
yeah, because he's a liberal. So they hate the liberals the most. Sell it for $5 says, Web Coomer question, what are your favorite anime waifus? Mine are Yurichi from Bleach, Motoko from Gits, and Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop. Who's your favorite anime waifu, Adam?
I'm not sure, but Faye is on the cover, the S class cover for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember drawing her.
Well, I mean, obviously, we all know there's a special place in my heart for Tifa, even though it's a video game character, not anime. So, um, I don't know. I was gonna name some people, but you're always like, is that an underage anime character? I'm
Yeah,
curious. Can't
exactly.
name anyone from Kill la Kill, right?
Of
So,
course. Yeah, next thing you know,
so,
you named like a 12-year-old and the
right,
whole
right,
fucking
right.
internet is mad at you.
Yeah. So, I'm just gonna leave it at Tifa. Okay, how about that?
That works. There is like a tinny sound to your audio and like a slight echo. It is noticeably different. People in the
Hmm.
chat are saying, "Oh, it's fine. It's totally fine." But I mean,
I don't.
okay.
Hmm. I don't know. It's weird. Because so I was on a stream last night with our surrogate father, Daddy JMac. Daddy JMac was on Wix stream, and I jumped in just at the end, and I was only on for I don't know, like the last 10 minutes or so. And I did turn up my mic, but I mean, I just turned up the gain a little bit on the physical mic. I didn't really change anything outside of that. So,
Right. Discord does like completely rewire your audio on your computer.
hmm.
Like so.
Okay, I don't know. Anyways, Jack Spades for 25 months says inside sources indicate the ICC was convinced to pursue a warrant after watching Kanye's Net and Yoo-Hoo routine. There you go. No Map for $5 says, but Sitch, it's a genocide though. Exactly. Genie Payment for $5 says, most ignore the number one crime that gets you charged with a war crime. Losing. Very true. Sell it for $5 says, you should check out Dr. Phil's slobbering interview with BB. I'm assuming you mean BB Netanyahu. It won't let me say his name. Now, first of all, why would it not let you say his name? That's so weird. That's so weird. But okay, I'll check it out. I'm
He's
not a
an
big Dr. Phil fan,
international
but
criminal. Of course you can't say his name.
oh, you're right. As soon as the ICC throws out their arrest warrant, YouTube's like, you can't say this criminal's name. Okay,
Just not.
true, true. Okay. Libertarian Task Squad for $2 says, if you beat off to anime, you're a total weirdo. Wow, shots fired. I don't endorse such statements. Okay.
I mean,
I
that's
think
true, right?
if anyone wants to beat off to anime, be my guest. All right.
I mean,
2D, 3D, whatever you want.
he's still a weirdo.
Okay. Let's watch this Tim Pool video, Adam.
Let's do it.
So we're gonna watch this a little differently. I feel like we're gonna watch the first. We're not gonna watch the whole thing because it's not worth it. We're gonna watch the first like 10 minutes and 30 seconds. There's a part I want to get to, but you kind of have to see the lead up to this. If you want to pause it, You can pause it. I don't know if I'm going to pause it that much, so it might be just kind of like a long playthrough just to see, just to like kind of set up the whole environment because I feel like this is an incredibly unhinged take that is just so insane and pretty dishonest. So,
Hence the title of the video, right?
hence the title of the video, yes. Okay. So let's jump into
What is
this.
what is the topic of the video? What are we
So
watching here?
this was there was new information that came out that there were more top secret documents at Mar-a-Lago. Still.
Okay.
And so someone was going through it and they found that in the original search warrant, like 2 years ago when the FBI went to Mar-a-Lago and they got the documents, someone found that buried inside of it is the standard use of force policy rules that exist for every single FBI search warrant, which all it just says is that if, the FBI is engaged in a search warrant and somebody starts shooting at them, they can shoot back. That's all it really says. And people pointed to that and very dishonestly tried to say, aha, this shows that they wanted the FBI to go to Mar-a-Lago and assassinate Donald Trump. Okay. That's what it shows. I probably even shouldn't have said those words on YouTube. Now I'm going to get flagged, right, by the FBI. That's what this shows. It shows that was the plan all along, even though it's just the standard policy thing that exists in every single FBI search warrant. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So let's look at Tim's covering of this situation.
You probably heard about last night that the FBI, when they conducted the surprise raid on Mar-a-Lago over classified documents, had been authorized to use deadly force. Not only this, but they were instructed to wear plain clothes, unmarked, and hide that they were law enforcement. Now we are getting the big debate. Some people on the right saying, no way, this is standard protocol. It's not that big of a deal. The corporate press saying basically the same thing. There was no effort to cause harm to the president. And then you have, Dan Bongino, who actually was in the Secret Service and is saying, no way. This is anything but standard. Unprecedented. Marjorie Taylor Greene says that Biden was planning to assassinate Trump. A very bold claim. But I wouldn't say personally that I think their intention was purely to take out Trump. But I think it was part of the, well, if it happens, right? Conduct a raid, authorize deadly force, unmarked police, and if Trump shows up, we don't know. Now, Trump wasn't there, and that's important because I want to go through this debate people are having. And I will just start by saying, standard protocol. There is no standard protocol for conducting a surprise raid on the home of a former president. As Dan Bongino also points out, it's a protected place by the Secret Service. So what surprise raid are you doing? That's right. They wanted to conduct a surprise raid, and according to the Washington Post, Trump was unaware. Here's what's fascinating. Now the Washington Post has written the most insane story, placating everything, saying in order to make sure things were calm, they showed up unmarked. One of the most insane things I've heard. You show up to a man's home in plain clothes with guns, and what do you think happens? Now, there are people who are like, yeah, but Tim, it's standard protocol. Not for a president. It's all unprecedented. You don't do it. It's got to be done in different ways. But this is the fascinating case right now. In the event, and I will stress this, Julie Kelly pointing out that in their operational documents, they had a contingency plan for the arrival of Donald Trump. I've been to Mar-a-Lago. I went there a couple weeks ago. First time I'd ever been there. I'll tell you this. They have security. Okay, we were there when the president was there. And so Secret Service is there as well. You can't just walk in. You will be stopped by security. If you are in plain clothes with a gun and try going past security, you're opening the door to some real messed up stuff. Okay. They say, well, Trump wasn't there. Is this a joke? Trump has family. Trump's family could be there. And they authorize deadly force. You want to have a surprise raid against a former president? You are conducting an unprecedented move. And what you do then is, in your operational documents, is this is the former president under Secret Service protection. No law enforcement shall be armed. There will be no authorization for the use of force in any way. That's it. In fact, according to the Washington Post, last year, discussing the story, several FBI agents wanted just that. They said, no raid, just call the man and we will set up a time. Prosecutors were like, no, storm in, guns a-blazing with no warning. You know what I think? I don't know that they wanted to kill Trump. I think that they were more likely hoping for a shootout in which they could say January 6th all over again. They could say Donald Trump's security have opened fire on law enforcement. And then could you imagine Joe Biden being like, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump had security guards shooting at FBI. We come on, man. They wanted to up the ante. I think they were hoping for it. Marjorie Taylor Greene makes wild claim Biden was planning to assassinate Trump. A new court filing unsealed on Tuesday in the Trump classified documents case revealed federal agents were prepped to use deadly force when executing the raid. Greene, a devoted Trump ally, reacted to the news furiously, suggesting that President Biden, his DOJ, and the FBI were prepared to kill his predecessor. I don't remember exactly how I framed it, but I think mine was that they were trying to incite a conflict or a civil war or something like that. Let me see. I want to make sure what I posted. Unmarked FBI armed and ready to use lethal force at Mar-a-Lago against Trump. It was either an attempt to kill Trump or incite civil war, maybe both. I would say now, based on the fact that perhaps you can't convey enough information on X. I'd actually walk that back a little bit because they had a contingency plan for Trump's arrival and, maybe a bit hyperbolic. I think that's fair. But I do think that the general idea is they
just a bit.
He always does this.
Just a bit
He
hyperbolic.
always does this. He throws out the most incendiary stuff. And then, 8 minutes into the video, when everyone's clicked off, he's like, yeah, that might have been a little hyperbolic. Here, let me walk it back a bit. Right.
Yeah.
So you have this perception that he's endorsing it completely, but
right.
Not really.
Now I want to get to all these claims, but I do want to kind of get to halfway through the video just to set up the environment and framing of the whole situation before I comment on it. But I pause it here because it's it's funny that I guess it's a good thing he's acknowledging that his tweet was hyperbolic, maybe, I don't know, but it puts him in the weird psychological position of once you throw something out there, you feel compelled to defend it, right, as opposed to just if you didn't say anything publicly, you don't have this like defense mechanism necessarily, rising up to defend, something that you might have said that was not true when you find out the facts.
He's a master mind reader here. I mean, where's he getting all this information from? Like, sure, maybe this narrative is plausible, but like, what evidence do you have for it? Like, lots of crazy narratives are plausible.
Sure. Well, it's actually not plausible, but we'll get into why it's completely not plausible. And he should know it's not plausible because he even talked about that he read an article, which I also read, which is a very interesting article about how the prosecutors and the FBI were arguing with each other for months about how to handle the situation. And the FBI was far more concerned about even doing the raid in any capacity because they thought it would make the FBI look bad. And it's okay. And it's actually really fascinating to read this article where it's kind of the FBI arguing with the prosecutors, because it becomes, to me, it like really makes very crystal clear how kind of ill-informed and naive and detached from reality these sort of deep state allegations are when you have the number 2 guy at the FBI who's arguing with the Justice Department, and he doesn't want to do the raid, not because he even really cares about the facts, but just because he thinks that the public perception of having FBI agents storm into Mar-a-Lago will make the FBI look bad regardless of any situation. And so his primary consideration is just to try to defend and maintain the reputation of the FBI, where the prosecutors for the federal government are more concerned with, pursuing their case against Donald Trump.
Is there any back and forth that expresses concern for the former president's safety?
So the same guy, the number 2 guy at the FBI, actually testified to Congress about the thing, and he talks about, and I'll get there when we're done watching this clip because there's something very important there. He talks about how ludicrous the accusation or concern was that there'd be some kind of safety concern for Donald Trump.
Right, because they have literally agents on the scene. They have Secret Service agents, and I'm certain they're communicating with, right?
Well, we'll find out.
All right, let's continue.
They wanted a conflict, and I stand by the Civil War part. You know I would, and I'll tell you why. You show up to Mar-a-Lago, FBI agents, Trump security, Secret Service, or whatever, open fire because unmarked, unannounced law enforcement. It's dudes in khakis with guns raiding your property. And we saw what happened with Ashley Babbitt, right? It is well known on the left that cops may just shoot somebody. Now, when it came to Ashley Babbitt, what did they say? Well, she was an insurrectionist. She shouldn't have been there. If a guy in khakis and a polo shirt with a gun is walking through Mar-a-Lago with his gun drawn, you think a security guard's going to be like, time to figure out who this guy is? And then what happens? Let's say Trump security opens fire on this guy. Media reports shootout. Trump personnel in a shootout with FBI to stop them from searching the property. What do you think happens to this country? Let's do this. We'll go to the debate. The debate about whether or not it's real, and I'm gonna break it all down for you because I think people are wrong. This is an unprecedented move, and what I want to say is, when you plan a surprise raid on a former president, unmarked with guns, and the authorization for use of deadly force, I don't know exactly what you're hoping to get out of it, but it sounds like you could get violence out of it. Whether that is the loss of Trump's life, should he arrive, because they had a contingency plan for that, or, as I described, inciting mass chaos and reporting nationally some kind of, Trump's people are shooting at feds. Here we go. Hannah Knowles, who's a liar, says a former president falsely accusing a successor of and rival of posing a threat to his life is without precedent in modern U.S. history. This is not a news article. This is an opinion piece from the Washington Post, unlabeled as opinion. Trump email falsely says Biden was locked and loaded to take me out. Actually, that's a fact. Biden's DOJ were authorized, locked and loaded, to take out Trump. That's a fact. How are they saying it was false? Because they are liars. I am not saying I can tell you definitively they wanted to kill Trump. What I am saying is the Biden DOJ authorized the use of deadly force at Trump's property for which Trump may have arrived. They didn't know. So, yes, that's true. A former president falsely accusing. These people are evil. Wait till you see this. Donald Trump on Tuesday falsely claimed in a campaign fundraising email that Biden was locked and loaded, ready to take me out during the Mar-a-Lago raid for classified documents, an extraordinary distortion of a standard FBI policy on the use of deadly force during such operations. Wait, hold on. So the opening paragraph admits the FBI standard policy was to be locked and loaded and ready to take out the individuals that they are encountering. Sounds like Trump told the truth. Trump appeared to be referring to a law enforcement document released Tuesday in court filings in the document's case that describes the FBI's plans for a court-authorized search on August 8th, 2022 at Mar-a-Lago. FBI agents recovered classified material from Trump, blah, blah, blah. We get it. And they say one page in the document includes a policy statement on the use of deadly force, which says officers may resort to lethal force only when the subject of such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to an officer or another person, which again proves the point. This is what we've been talking about. Showing up unmarked. Wait till you see this. You're going to laugh. Trump, the presumptive GOP nominee for president, and some of his allies suggested Tuesday, this was evidence that Biden's DOJ was...
Let me pause it again. Just touch on this brief point, because we're going to get to every point that he makes here in a second. But it's so Tim is saying that this article is lying, and that Donald Trump is correct when he says in an email that Biden sends the FBI locked and loaded to take him out because there's a standard provision whenever they authorize search warrants that says that they're only allowed to use subjective force when imminent danger of death or serious physical injury is present. How can, like, it's so obvious that when you say someone sent the police locked and loaded ready to take me out means that they're going there with the intention to harm you versus saying if you're on scene and someone pulls a gun and starts shooting you, you can defend yourself. Like it's just like it's so obvious these are not the same thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
It's just okay. It's
what is the email that they're reading from? Is that a campaign?
Yeah.
Email?
Yeah, like a fundraising thing.
A fundraising.
Yes, yeah, it was a fundraising thing, right? Like you send me money.
My goodness.
Joe Biden sent the FBI to come take me out.
Yeah.
Locked and loaded, right?
He's out to get me. This is your opportunity to right this major injustice in the universe. Right. Send me $50. Right.
Yeah. I mean, this would be like, if they asked the police to come clear one of these college encampments.
Right.
And the police do clear it peacefully and there's no problem. And then someone says, whoa, whoa, whoa. According to standard police protocol, police are allowed to defend themselves if you attack them. So therefore, they sent the police with deadly force to come take out, locked and loaded, all the college campus innocent protesters. Right. And you're like, well, okay, that's not what happened. And that's not even remotely true.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes this completely implausible.
Right. There's one key thing here that makes this whole story completely ridiculous that Tim intentionally skips over. So,
prepared to fatally shoot him. Yes. In fact, Trump was not at his Florida property the day of his search, except as Julie Kelly points out, let me see if I can find the, Julie Kelly says they had a contingency plan for the arrival of F. POTUS. They will be prepared to engage with F. POTUS and USSS security team. What's up, Washington Post? They were prepared for Trump to be there, knowing they would be arriving authorized to use lethal force. What do you think happens? Secret Service pulls up, not knowing what's going on. Guys in polo shirts with guns are guns drawn or out. Or who knows what they're doing? You think Secret Service is going to be like, howdy there, mister? What you doing? Or do you think they're going to draw their weapon and say, on the ground now, drop the weapon, drop the weapon? And then the law enforcement agent says, don't move. What do you think could happen? Choosing a day when Trump was not at the property, despite the fact that a contingency plan, I'll add. A former president, I love this, falsely accusing his successor and rival of post.
Okay. So this is where I want to stop the video. All right. So Tim has laid out this entire scenario. He's framed it like, imagine this. I want you all to imagine this image in your mind. A bunch of unmarked vehicles with agents who are not wearing any sort of identifying clothes. They all start running out of their cars, guns drawn. They got the battering rams, and they start rushing the gates of Mar-a-Lago, and they start slamming the door down. And the Secret Service is like, oh my God, what's going on? Someone's attacking, the president's home, even though he's not here. We got to pull our guns out. And a firefight erupts between the FBI and the Secret Service. And this is all part of some kind of intentional plan to somehow make Donald Trump look bad.
It's like the end of True Romance. It's like a real shootout here.
Yes. Yes.
Everyone's firing.
Now, what is one tiny little bitty piece of information that would destroy that entire narrative and make this all seem like some kind of retarded fever dream?
Well, did they show up with their guns drawn?
Well, that would be an important thing too, but that's not quite what I'm looking for, right?
Okay. Well,
like, what would be the most obvious thing on the entire face of the planet that you would wonder if the FBI did before they initiated this raid?
Call ahead, maybe?
Oh my God!
Well, look, I would call it, if I was the FBI, I would contact the Secret Service and say, listen, some shit's going on.
Adam,
don't shoot at us.
You a civilian, okay? You a civilian, not some kind of big FBI, head honcho here, would think would use the foresight to pick up the phone
Yes.
and call the Secret Service at Mar-a-Lago and say, "Excuse me, Secret Service, we have a lawful search warrant, which we are, going to be using and going into this property. We're letting you know ahead of time so there's no conflict," right?
Yeah.
You think that's what they would do?
That'd be the simple thing to do. Yeah. That's what
Right.
I would do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at this paragraph, let's use the actual Justice Warrior superpower, the ability to pause the screen and
read the article.
read the article. Okay. So if you noticed, Tim was reading this. He says, in fact, Trump was not at his Florida property the day of the search. FBI agents specifically sought to avoid a confrontation with Trump, choosing a day where Trump would not be at the property.
Oh my God. They knew his schedule.
And Tim didn't read this part?
It's gonna be difficult to shoot to kill when you know he's not even there.
Yeah, right. And notice Tim skipped this part. He literally skips this part. And giving the Secret Service a heads up, the Washington Post previously reported. Why did he skip that?
Because they did call ahead.
Yes. And look, let's go back for a second here.
Choosing a day when Trump was not at the property, despite the fact that a contingency plan, I'll add. A former president.
Oh, why did he skip that one part? It's so weird. It's so weird. He skipped that one part of the sentence that completely destroys the entire narrative he's been crafting for the last 10 minutes and 30 seconds.
This is pretty funny.
I was like, what? And I was watching this video like, this is insane, because I remember at the time that this raid happened 2 years ago, we all talked about this and it was all known and it was reported on widely at the time that the FBI obviously called the Secret Service ahead and said, "Hey, by the way, we're going to be doing this raid." Okay. And so, and I even got, here's an article. This is an article from the day it happened. Okay. This is an article from on August 8th, 2022. Okay. From NBC. And it says, let's see. It says, I lost it now. Oh, here we go. Hours before agents searched Trump's residence, the FBI notified the Secret Service about the Bureau's plan to execute the warrant. According to a Secret Service official, the Secret Service facilitated access to the property, the official said, but did not participate in any aspect of the search. Okay. So we knew 2 years ago, the day the raid happened, was reported widely by mainstream media, and this has never been, no one has ever said this is not true. No one has ever come out and said, no, it's not true. The day this happened, they said hours before agents searched the residence, they told the Secret Service what they were doing. Okay.
Wow. Okay. So they gave him a heads up, just like the article says.
Just like the article says, which Tim intentionally skips over while he's accusing the woman who wrote this article of being a liar. He intentionally leaves out key information that destroys his entire narrative.
Wow. You think this is deliberate? I mean, this is pretty bad.
He deliberately he was reading this sentence, and it's not even a new sentence. He's reading the sentence and then chooses with intention to skip the end of the sentence.
Right.
So it has to be deliberate. This has to be deliberate.
This is pretty bad.
It's really bad. I was like, what the hell? This is crazy. And
yeah,
I want to analyze, like,
law enforcement agents look out for one another, right? They don't want to go killing each other indiscriminately.
Of course. But I want to analyze even like Tim's weird conspiracy plot here, because it's so nonsensical. Okay. He's saying, like, listen, I'm being reasonable. I don't think that they wanted to actually take out Trump. I think they wanted to get into a firefight, and that would make Trump look bad.
2 law enforcement agencies wanted to get into a firefight.
Yeah.
How does that look? Just meditate on that for 1 second, Sitch. Like, who looks good in that situation? FBI is shooting to kill the Secret Service. And the Secret Service is doing the same to FBI. Who looks good in that?
Donald Trump looks good, because then it makes it look like the FBI's crazy.
This is, oh my God.
Like, I'm so glad that it's like, to you, it's so obvious that that's an unhinged take. Like, who would ever think that the FBI getting into a firefight, and it's so weird because Tim keeps saying Trump security guards, Trump security guards. They're not Trump
They're
security guards.
not.
It's the Secret
They're
Service.
They're
okay?
federal employees.
Yes.
Yes, they have an institution of going back generations protecting the president.
If you had a national story that where the FBI gets into a firefight with the Secret Service, that makes the FBI look horrible.
Horrible,
And it makes
yes,
the investigation into Donald Trump look horrible because every person says, why the hell would you not have picked up the phone and called the Secret Service and notified them beforehand that you were doing this so this wouldn't happen?
Yeah,
Okay.
a little courtesy call.
Right. How could Tim even think to throw this out there as if this was some kind of bizarre ploy that would somehow make Trump look bad? It's like insane. It makes no
Yeah.
sense whatsoever.
He is kind of spinning it as if Trump has private security on hand. I'm not sure. You think Trump is paying for private security above and beyond the Secret Service? I mean, the Secret Service is, that's
Mhm.
included free of charge, right? He's an ex-president.
Actually, it's interesting. Glad I didn't think about till now. I don't know if you're an ex-president. Are you allowed to hire additional private security?
Why
beyond
would
the Secret
you?
Service?
Why
I
would
don't
you?
even know
You're
if
getting
you're allowed to do
security on
that.
the public dime. Why
Right.
would you?
Well, especially when you're
didn't
not
even
even
wanna pay-
there.
Trump didn't even want his campaign to pay for anything in his transition to be president.
That's true.
Why would he want to pay for additional security now?
That's true. That's true. Right. Yeah. So, like, we have this insane story where the FBI intentionally went to Mar-a-Lago on a day that they thought he wouldn't be there. Okay. They planned intentionally to go on a day that Donald Trump would not be there. They intentionally, 2 hours before the raid, call the Secret Service to notify that they're doing what they're doing. And no violence occurred, obviously, because there was no confusion, and everything happened fine. And yet now, 2 years later, we're doing this insane gaslighting where we're trying to paint a completely nonsensical picture of reality in order to, create the idea that, like, the Civil War.
Even if Trump is found guilty for some criminal charge, the Secret Service is not going to go down fighting with Donald Trump. They're going to turn him over to the authorities.
I know.
They are the authorities.
I know.
This is
I know.
insane.
It's not
This
like a
is
third
totally-
world, suddenly I've got my loyal security guards,
Yeah.
that I
this is-
trained from birth to to be my secret assassins.
Yeah. This is insane.
And then and Tim talks about, he's like, oh my God, sure, they planned to do this on a day Donald Trump was not there, but smoking gun, they had a contingency plan in case Donald Trump shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Obviously, it's like he says this like it's nefarious. Like the contingency plan says if Donald Trump shows up, shoot him. Right? Like if it said that, then you'd be like, okay, that's pretty crazy. No, of course they had a contingency plan because they're like, well, what happens if while we're doing this lawful raid of Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump decides to fly down and try to run into the building and make a big show of it? We have to have some plan in place so that something crazy doesn't go down, right?
Right,
Obviously,
yeah.
they have to have a plan for that.
Yeah. This is just wild. They always have. They have a contingency plan, an alternate plan, an emergency plan. They have every kind of plan conceivable. That's normal
Right.
for military, law enforcement, all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
So
This is just silly.
oh my God, this video was so unhinged. I just couldn't believe it. And it was just so hypocritical because Tim's just shouting at this Washington Post person, calling them a liar when he's intentionally leaving out information that destroys his entire argument in the same Washington Post article. So,
But it's on the screen though.
yeah, I know, but who reads the screen?
No,
You just listen to it, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh my God, I couldn't
I was-
believe this.
I'm so glad you caught this.
Yeah, I couldn't believe. I think actually Soldo sent me this video, and I was like, this is crazy. This is so ludicrous. So, it's unfortunate because I was just praising Tim Pool the other day because of him pushing back on Elijah Schaffer, and then now it's just like straight up lying. I guess this is ridiculous.
And lying to basically simp for a fundraising letter, a Trump fundraising letter.
Right.
What? Like, I mean, it's those fundraising letters they get insane. Sometimes
They do.
I read them and I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Those
It's
fundraising
like a
letters, those
bathroom
texts.
wall.
That's true. Those texts, you guys get those texts like constantly.
Oh
Like, how did
yeah.
they get my phone number? Who's this person texting me? Like, oh my God, PSA Sitch, the country's under attack. Please give us some money. I'm like, get away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Block. Okay, so that was it. I just couldn't believe how bad this video was. This is probably like one of the worst simple videos I've ever seen. So shame,
Yeah.
shame, 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 shame.
I can't even fathom a scenario where the FBI and the Secret Service are like shooting at one another. Like how
No.
like how does that happen?
Yeah, and just the insanity that if it did happen, it would somehow make Trump look bad. Like, if that actually happened, everyone in the media would be like making fun of the FBI, attacking the FBI, saying, why is the FBI so incompetent? There'd be all these investigations into how the FBI was so incompetent. There'd be all these investigations into why they didn't notify the Secret Service. Like, it would be such a disaster for the FBI and the State Department.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, the State Department and the Justice Department. I'm sorry, the Justice Department. And it would it's so obviously that it would be bad for them. I don't even know how he could posit this as a theory.
Because nobody's going to check. And look, everyone wants to hear the deep state wants to kill Trump. The deep state
Right.
wants Trump dead. The
Right.
deep state wants Trump assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like he would spin it. The FBI called to give a heads up to the Secret Service. We're going to be assassinating Trump today, so you need to be aware when we show up to stand off to the side. We're trying to start a civil war here.
Yeah, why didn't they just do that? Why didn't they just say, excuse me, we want to take out, Trump. Can you just allow us to do it? And they'd be like, of course, we got our deep state, authorization to stand down. So thank you.
Well, he's not going to be here that day. You have to do it on Friday if you really want to assassinate him, okay?
Right.
He's at a birthday party on Thursday.
Right.
Oh, man.
Right.
This is why? Look, I guess Tim Pool is trying to court people who want to believe this stuff. I mean, this is super weird. Yeah. This is super weird. Tim Pool used to be like, I just want honest journalism. They're telling me to cook the books on racism and pump out the woke stuff but I can't do those lies.
Yep.
I have ethics in journalism.
Yeah. What happened to that?
Yeah. Look, I couldn't do something like this.
No. And, I'm looking at the comment section on this video and it's all like, arrest the FBI, disband the FBI, get rid of the FBI. When it's funny because the article that Tim cites that I read, which I guess is the same article, it's kind of the FBI was like the organization that didn't want to do this in the first place.
Oh, they didn't want to make the arrest?
No, they didn't want to do it wasn't arrest. They didn't want to do the
search?
The search because they thought it would make them look bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are they trying to get the local authorities in? Call the Florida PD. They
wanted to just keep asking Trump to hand over the documents, essentially. And the Justice Department, which actually did that and had that, earlier in June, months before this happened, they actually had a couple of FBI agents go to Mar-a-Lago and say, can you give us any documents they have? And they gave them some more documents. And then the only reason they decided to do this raid was because after that is when they got both a person who worked for Donald Trump and surveillance video showing that they were sort of hiding boxes or moving boxes in a way that would show that they were not actually complying with handing over the secret documents. And that's why they wanted to do the raid. And lo and behold, they do the raid and, they didn't hand over all the documents. What a shock. What a surprise.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing. A lot. Yeah, they had evidence that the search warrant was going to yield exactly what they said it was going to yield.
And it completely did. Yeah, obviously. So you can't even Monday morning quarterback and say that, they were completely correct. They're completely right. So
yeah.
But again, it's just the FBI was the one that was really tepid to do it, and that's why when I was reading this article and I was reading some of the transcript from when the number two guy at the FBI was testifying to Congress. The reason they did the unmarked agents and cars is because it was just to protect their own reputation. They didn't want all these photos of all these agents with the FBI jackets like swarming Mar-a-Lago.
Right. Yes.
Right.
So when they gave him the heads up, they're like, look, we're not going to be in uniform. We're going to be the guys in khakis.
Right.
With our guns not drawn. We're going to be carrying clipboards.
Right. So,
yeah.
And then I'll read, I want to read, this is from when the FBI, the number two guy at the FBI was testifying to Congress about this. He said, they were asking him like about the FBI discussing this with the Secret Service beforehand. And he says, it was like, someone a comment, which I think is absurd, but oh, the Secret Service is going to block us from going in. It's like, come on, the Secret Service is not going to block us from going in. This is a duly lawful search. The Secret Service isn't going to do that, right? We had no concerns about that. Somebody brought it up and I remember the conversation like, no, we've already been in contact with the Secret Service. We've been in contact with the team lead. We will be in contact with the team lead. They'll know what we're coming. They'll know that we're coming and to open up the gate because we have a lawful search warrant, right? So there was no issue, So that was kind of, to me, I just put that out of mind, out of sight.
Oh my God.
So
they're basically on the phone with the Secret Service team leader.
Yes.
Saying, look, we're here now. Open the gate.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
I know. It's like, no, there was no plainclothes FBI agents not like swarm into, like, did not drive their trucks through the gate, with guns drawn and little battering rams like, you open up, we're key for the documents.
Oh man. There was some trouble with these agencies interfacing during 9/11. And supposedly they did a bunch of legislation to kind of work out the kinks so that there's open channels of communication between all of these organizations. So
right.
It's just difficult for me to imagine, that Keystone Cop situation where one agency is shooting at another agency and doesn't know it.
I'm sure it's happened, and I'm sure it's theoretically possible.
If there's like an undercover situation, sure.
Right.
But not in this situation.
Yeah, but obviously this situation was not that situation, and they went to great pains to make sure it wouldn't be that situation. And it's just completely ludicrous to try to paint it like this was some kind of intentional design to do some kind of violence towards Trump or towards the Secret Service members protecting Trump. So,
right. Okay. Very fascinating. This was a great find.
Oh my God. Rico Zorro, thanks so much for 26 months. Says, I can forgive the absence of blonde AOC if we can have a blonde MTG. A beach blonde. Blonde Brianna, blonde Candace, and for the love of God, even cross-eyed Emma. Wow. I mean, that's a lot of emoji slots to take up, so.
Yeah, we would just have to get rid of all the sitches.
No, not allowed. Blaine Skateboarder for 2 hours says, beating off to anime is totally normal, I promise. There you go.
Okay, well,
there,
as long as you're saying it's true,
right.
Obviously.
Christian Baller for 2 hours says it's called hentai and it's real art, Adam. There you go. Metal Face Rose for $2 says somebody peed in Tim's pool. Blaine's Escape Quarter for $2 says Tim explains the raid like he explains anime plots. I mean, yeah, listen, Tim does a great job explaining it like very narratively, right?
Oh yeah.
Gamer Truck JS for $2 says kind of reminds me of Ruby Ridge. I mean, it wasn't anything like the Ruby Ridge situation whatsoever, but
well, the guy in the Ruby Ridge situation wasn't law enforcement. Law enforcement was working to get him out of his property, right? He didn't have if the guy from Ruby Ridge had a Secret Service contingency, I imagine it would be a lot easier to get him out because the Secret Service guys would have just turned him over.
Yeah, exactly. Caleb for $5 says one thing Sam Cedar got right is that Tim Pool sees the world like a Marvel movie. I mean, I hate to agree with Sam Cedar on anything, but
yes.
But yeah, maybe. Gay Ben for $10 says Tim is being silly. Everyone knows Trump has a short skirt and has it coming. The walls are closing in. We call this justice now. We have paperwork that makes us all perfectly on the up and up. There you go. It's interesting to see. You can see the cognitive dissonance if somebody changes the subject to something else as opposed to addressing what the point is. Like that's a very clear indication of cognitive dissonance at the time. So
Right. You're saying, look, these two agencies obviously were in communication. How do you respond to that? And
they're like, but listen, it's all it doesn't matter. This is all phony case anyway. And you're like, well, hold on, we're not talking about
yeah,
whether
exactly.
the documents case is legitimate. That's a completely different topic. We're talking about this very, very specific claim that is being made here that the FBI was sent to somehow, instigate violence against Donald Trump or to make him look bad as being brought forward. We're not talking about the legitimacy of the case, regardless. And if you change the subject to that, it just shows that you're in the realms of cognitive dissonance. So.
Right. You don't want to accept any evidence that disproves your narrative.
Right. Libertarian Sasquatch for $5 says, I don't believe for a second that the FBI wouldn't identify themselves to Mar-a-Lago. The Secret Service before the raid makes 0 sense. Yeah, obviously, it makes no sense. Yeah. Nomad for $5 says, just another Tim story that he can use to make his Civil War prediction still possible. Why do the far left and the right want Civil War so much? Because they both see the country as, and the institutions of the country as irrevocably, no, that's not the word, irrevocably corrupted, I think. And so things need to be torn down. I think that's part of it. I think part of it is also just from the pundit's perspective, as we all know, outrage and getting everyone riled up over a just cause is the number one way to get views. So
yeah,
I think that's the more cynical reason.
it's a Huxley quote.
Drew Dogman, thank you for $2. I don't know what the message said because it got moved, but Seller for $5 says, notice Tim said, quote, they never had deadly force authorized for a search on a F POTUS. We never had a search on an F POTUS. No shit. That's true. That's a good point. Kizzle for 25 PLN says, did FBI call Secret Service and tell them, you guys are all right, don't go to work tomorrow? That's exactly it.
Well, if that happened, then that would be some evidence in Tim Pool's favor.
Yes.
Take the day off, guys. We're going to assassinate the president.
There you go, yeah. Hayden Dill for $2 says, Sitch, listen. It's a slow news day, so Civil War time. There you go. Nomad for $5 says, in the voice of the Simpsons comic book guy, worst assassination attempt ever.
True.
Soldoge for $5 says, I'm begging you, Sitch, to bring up the RFK Jr. ad I sent you. It's real. Yes, we have a president candidate investigating GameStop. Gamers rise up.
Wow.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't actually look at that thing that you sent me, but I'll look at it in a second. Let's see, what is this?
I looked at some polling on 538, and RFK was in second place in Ohio. I was like, what?
Really?
That's not even possible.
Under Trump?
Yeah. It was
That's
Trump,
crazy.
RFK,
Wow.
and Biden. It's pretty messed up, huh?
But I'm shocked. Interesting. I'll bring up the RFK thing after we finish on the topic. I sent it to Adam, but we'll bring it up in a second. Moondog for $5 says, wish I was conspiracy minded. Seems like so much fun. True. Libertarian Sasquatch for $5 says, so the FBI had one chance to kill Trump. Turns out he wasn't home and they just gave up after that, apparently. That's right. The FBI is like planning this like very intricate, like we need to take him out just like we did JFK. Dun dun dun. Oh, he's not home. Pack it in, boys. Pack it in. I guess while we're here, we'll just pick up these boxes of documents, right? So we can, drag Trump through a lengthy court process for the next 2 years. That's better, right? That's a consolation prize.
Tim does know what his audience wants to hear. This is completely just catering to that desire to fulfill the narrative that the deep state is out to get Donald Trump.
Of course.
And this is just taking it up a notch, obviously. Oh my God, they want to assassinate him.
Right. Excuse me, Michael for 23 months. Thank you so much. Says, can't believe I used to listen to that guy. Anyways, A team may be a dream team, but that's the best. Gonna keep typing until there's no space left. Thank you. Gaming Trucker JS for $2 says, you guys should go on Tim Pool's show. I mean, we might once I, have my face reveal. We'll see. PC for $5 says, good thing no one told the deep state to infiltrate the Secret Service. Yeah, exactly. Listen, Why didn't the deep state just infiltrate the Secret Service and tell them to stand down, right?
Yeah, that would be the smart thing to do.
The reason for that is because I don't know if you know this. Okay. You know the Secret Service was created after Lincoln was assassinated, right?
Wow. I guess they really fucked up.
Well, that's why. No, it was in response to that. They're like, "Oh, you really got to do something about it."
Look, just think if they would have created the Secret Service 5 years earlier.
I know. Everyone would have been much better off, right?
Well, Lincoln would have probably been much better off.
True. But they, the idea is that even the South would have been the Reconstruction of the South would have been much better off, if
Oh,
Lincoln was still
yeah.
alive. But yeah, so I don't know if you know this, but after, wait a minute, let me see.
After.
Oh wait, this is hilarious. It says the Secret Service was a part of the. I knew about the counterfeiting thing. Secret Service was founded in 1865 to combat the then widespread counterfeiting of U.S. currency. President Abraham Lincoln signed the legislation for it just a few hours before he was assassinated.
No way.
What? What the fuck?
It's terrible timing.
Oh my God.
That's the worst timing in the world.
That's so darkly
Can you imagine?
hilarious. Yes. Oh my God.
Hours? Like the same day he signs it?
The same day? How is that possible?
The Secret Service was created the day Lincoln was assassinated. Now there's the deep state for you.
Oh, actually, no, it was the next day he was assassinated, I think.
Okay, so it was the day before.
It was
I get, yeah.
But that's still pretty crazy.
Look, it could be
right?
5 years and they just are tabulating it in hours, right?
There it is. I like it. That's deep state. Abraham Lincoln signs into a bill into law that makes the Secret Service exist. They're like, we got to take him out now. Send in the male actor. The Zoolander male actor. Send him in,
Oh yeah.
So, okay. That's hilarious. Sketch for $5 says AOC versus MTG is greater than S-Class versus A-Team, which is greater than Destiny versus Gorka. I haven't watched that yet, but I'll check it out, see if it's worth covering on Sunday.
What do you mean? I thought we did
Destiny
a video
versus
on that.
Gorka conversation.
Oh, okay. We covered the AOC versus MTG. You should check it out. It's a great video.
Yes, if you didn't see it, we did a video going over. I'm sure you guys saw like a couple second clips of the AOC MTG cat fight, but we went over the kind of the build up and then the afterwards of it, the aftermath of it, and it's pretty hilarious and interesting.
Every male congressman trying to chill them out.
Yeah,
a lot of control your woman vibes going on.
Yes, a lot of like calling for recesses and then people talking on the mic insulting each other when they don't know they're still being recorded. So, Sir Hostess of the Liver for 500 Kazark says Tim lost me when he said he'll care about Tate's sex traffic. He'll care about Andrew Tate's sex trafficking only when the MSN cares about Epstein's clients. Until then, it's okay, I guess.
That is the biggest whataboutism of all time.
Yeah, Tim said that. That's wild. What? That is a weird. To me, that totally reads as just like audience, afraid of your audience, right? Because that doesn't even make sense. Just because one person who's doing something like bad with women is not being investigated properly. I mean, probably because they're dead, but you get to ignore another person that your audience happens to like, or some segment of your audience happens to like. Like that's a very convenient cope, right?
Yeah, this is what whataboutism is made for right here.
Yeah.
Subterfuge.
Solo for $5 says, I saw only a little bit, but Ricada the other day was arguing to bring back segregated schools. Really? Okay. Listen, maybe we'll chalk that up to, his inebriation or something.
Segregated by what?
I mean, I'm guessing you mean by race. I don't know what else you mean by that comment, but
well, sex segregated schools.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to, if you have the clip sent to me, I'll look at it. But Lucy Lemonbug for 15 months. Thank you so much. Says, did you guys see Trump's most recent campaign ad? Are you talking about the Reich ad? I'm sure you've seen about that controversy.
I did not. No, I saw. I didn't click on it, but I saw a video about it.
Yeah, it was completely fake news. Someone, I think it was an unnamed staffer, they're saying, made some campaign ad about Trump winning the election and blah 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 blah. And there's like a graphic of like a little newspaper graphic of Trump winning, and underneath it says like Third Reich or something unified. And everyone's like, oh my God, this is proof that Donald Trump is like secretly dog whistling to Nazis, blah, 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 blah. Even though if you looked at the ad, you would like 100% very easily miss that it said that because it says it in like very small letters. And then it turned out that the reason it said that was because the person who made the ad was using a template from like a World War II like
Oh
template or
no,
something.
that's hilarious.
And they just like plugged
That is
in like
hilarious.
they just they plugged in like Trump's face into the little like graphic, and they didn't really closely notice the little thing underneath the screen. So
So it wasn't even intentional.
no, it was not
Wow.
intentional. Obviously not intentional,
Good
but
luck convincing the left of that.
yes, there was a lot of dishonest reporting, like, oh my God, Trump is intentionally trying to get the Nazi vote. I was like, oh my God, obviously that's not what's going on here. Like, it's so ridiculous. But Enlightened Centrism for $2 says RFK's brain worms also ate Tim's brain and spine. Wow.
Harsh.
Harsh. Daniel for 26 months says when y'all cover Brianna and Robbie, I feel like each of their segments either results in hate, fucking, or a knife fight. Someone is getting stabbed. Terrible.
Oh, ouch.
Terrible. How dare you? Let me refresh this. Okay. Oh, I sent you the thing, the Robert Kennedy thing. If you want to bring it up real quick.
Sure. I would love to.
Right. I saw Arrhythmus in the chat. I don't know what happened to him. You said that our take insulting Tim for this was bad. I'm curious as to what the defense is for Tim lying essentially on this. So is there a defense? I feel like there's no defense to this.
There was a lot of Trump supporters in the chat that seemed very upset by our commentary on this, which just seems what was what was inaccurate?
Right. What was inaccurate in the statement?
Are we just supposed to not talk about this because it doesn't make Trump look bad, it makes Tim look bad.
Right. Well, it makes Trump look bad in terms of, he made the original claim in the first place with the fundraising campaign.
Why you got to bring that up, Sitch? Why you got to bring that up?
Well, I would say, first of all, obviously, if you're expecting like truth from your presidential candidates, that's on you at this point, right?
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah, they all lie, especially in those campaign contribution emails. Oh, that's
right.
that's where the real bangers are.
Yeah, right. So
they're just talking to you, just in your private emails, like whispering into your ear. Oh, by the way, the deep state tried to kill me.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's like, oh.
So what's this RFK thing?
This is
what's going on here?
RFK tweeted this out today or yesterday. He says, I'm very aware of what the average retail investigator has been saying about the need for greater transparency in our markets, stronger regulatory oversight, and tougher penalties for market manipulations and criminal behavior. My administration will support the Ape Retail Rebellion and enact aggressive Wall Street reforms. To match actions with word, I just invested $24,000 in GameStop.
What? To match action with action with words, I just invested $24,000 in GameStop from the fees I earned from suing Monsanto for their knowing poisoning our soil and causing cancer. So look, I guess he won a lawsuit against Monsanto and he put it in a GameStop.
He's put it. So I guess we know. I guess we know what market he's appealing to. He's like, listen, GameStop bros. Okay. I'm also investing in the GameStop train. Yeah, baby. Oh my God, that's so silly.
But GameStop was, I thought the hype was over with GameStop.
No, it started up again.
Oh, it did?
Like there was the big hype, the big meme hype, went away, but now it's back.
No, I know, but
yeah.
Look, I just pulled up let's see here. Yeah, I just pulled up a 1 month chart and it looks like it's over again.
Oh, it's over again.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
So
down.
he's
It's
maybe
down.
listen, maybe RFK's saving some people, right? He's buying out so people can sell.
In the past 5 days, it's down 35%. So
Ooh,
yeah,
ouch. Ouch.
which my guess is it would continue to be going down. If
Mhm.
you're one of those unlucky bastards that bought at the $48 mark, 48.75 is the top of the peak.
Right. That's not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So look, he wants to throw his money away,
Mm-hmm.
To gain some voters, I guess. Okay. I mean, at
It's
least
so
he's not
stupid.
literally buying voters, right?
Yeah, I guess. You know what set off the meme again? This is why
Yeah,
I
I
hate
do.
people. Oh, you do know?
Of course. Look,
Okay.
I am an active investor.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know what's going on in the market.
Okay.
So it still is, if you look at the 1 month chart, it still is a double. It's up from $11 to $21, up 115%, right?
Well, that's pretty good.
But the 17 to 48.75,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not going back up to 48.75, guys.
Obviously not. Yeah.
Not until that guy tweets something out again. Not until he tweets out a picture of him sitting up in his chair.
Yeah. Yes. This stupid craze started just because the guy who started the GameStop meme like in 2021, he just tweeted out an image. He hasn't been on Twitter for like 3 years, and he just tweets out an image of a guy sitting up in a chair, and people are like, "Oh, we gotta go buy GameStop now." It's like, oh Jesus, that's all. This is so stupid.
Well, look, if you're the first one to see that tweet
Yeah,
and you're buying at $12 and you're turning around a few days later and selling at $40, I mean,
yeah. Listen, you made out like a bandit,
yeah,
right?
you're
Which is
basically stealing money from the people who you're selling that stock to at $40 a share
exactly
because it's going to go right back down. Yeah.
right. I mean, and that's exactly what Roaring Kitty probably did. He bought a bunch of stock at
He
that
did.
price and then tweeted that out. It shot up. He sold it and said, "Haha, suckers."
That's exactly what he did. This
Yep.
is, yeah.
Terrible.
The content creators that were doing rug pulls with their own crypto realized, well, why do I need to use crypto? I could just use some stock.
Mm-hmm.
And GameStop became the meme.
Right.
If I could be ahead of the curve on these, maybe I'll follow it. Maybe I'll set up an alert so I can get in on the next one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you like me to come back and tell you how, oh yeah, I made $10,000 off that stupid fucking tweet?
I know. And I don't know if you saw that. What is this weird on the tweet? What is this weird like campaign poster that RFK has? This is like so bizarre. Did you see this? I thought this was like a movie poster. I didn't realize this was like his campaign poster. What the fuck is happening in this poster?
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., independent for president, November 5th, 2024. This is him like in Planet of the Apes.
Yes, what is this poster?
This is ape together strong.
That is fucking
Apes together.
thing.
So look, he's like the man ape, and then you've got the chimpanzee ape in the background, but they both have falcons. Look at this.
Okay.
They're both falconers. Don't
So
you
Apes
go
Together
falconing
Strong-
with your pet chimpanzee, Sitch? You don't ever do that?
No. Apes Together Strong is a quote from the Planet of the Apes movie.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, but so is this? I guess is this supposed to be a joke, right? Like it's supposed to be funny. I'm guessing. I don't know. Like it's a bad joke because you look at this and if you don't like know meme shit, you'd be like, "What the fuck is happening? Like, why is he in Planet of the Apes poster with like animals?" It's so weird. This is like such a bad campaign move.
Yeah.
Anyways, ridiculous. Okay. My main issue lies in the assertion that the FBI contacted Secret Service beforehand when the only source is the Washington Post. Well, I've seen multiple sources. First of all, I just read you the number 2 guy at the FBI said that. as well.
Yeah, in
Okay?
conversation with some other guy, right?
So,
Or that
he
was
said in a
like
congressional
eyewitness.
hearing where
Okay.
he could be held, for perjury. So, and not a single person has ever come forward from the Secret Service, from the Trump team, to say that that's not the case. So,
Sitch is just bringing the receipts, man. He's
pretty
like, look
solid
at
evidence to
this.
me. But so, because if that was the case, if they just showed up without informing the Secret Service or anyone, obviously Trump 2 years ago would have been like, "Oh my God, they just showed up. This is crazy. Blah 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 blah. This is dangerous." But
Well, I'm starting to wonder if Tim just has no idea how law enforcement works.
right.
He doesn't have any friends that are in law enforcement. Like, he knows no one who's ever worked in law enforcement.
I don't know. I mean, he's had a lot of really bad, supposedly, according to stories he tells on stream, he's had a lot of very bad experiences with law enforcement. So I guess if he has such a negative view of law enforcement, it would play into this worldview, I guess. But
Yeah, look, if you understand law enforcement, it's a lot easier not to have bad interactions with the police or law enforcement.
mhm.
Yeah.
AKA Batosai Fujar says they're mad because they're against the raid altogether. I mean, listen, you could be against I guess I said, you could be against the raid, and that's a completely different point of conversation, right? Just because you're against something doesn't mean you get to lie about something else, right? Like, I'm against the students, taking over a building and putting up little tents and encampments. But if someone was like making the claim that, oh my God, the students, they bought Elon Musk flamethrowers and they were trying to burn the campus down, you know, and then I came out and said, oh my God, did you hear the story? And then it turned out that that was all not true. I would come out and say, oh, I apologize. Like, that story I reported, that none of that was true. That was all made up, right? I wouldn't start to defend it or try to like weasel out of it and be like, well, technically, if I look at the story by doing a headstand, maybe it's accurate. There was actually one guy who had matches when he was trying to light a cigarette and he dropped it, started a fire for 0.2 seconds. So
Raid sends a certain connotation that is doing a lot of the
that's
work
a good
here.
point.
Yeah.
That is a good
like
point.
if they called it the Mar-a-Lago investigation, why couldn't they just call it an investigation? I understand that it happened. It was like a surprise thing.
Mhm.
But if they would have called it that, a lot of people would
They
have.
should have called it the FBI surprise. Surprise! It's the FBI. Here's a search warrant.
They could have called it the surprise investigation.
Yeah. So
They should have called it the Mar-a-Lago sneak attack.
no, that's much better than raid. It's a sneak attack. Right.
Look, raid just has this connotation that everyone's like, hands up. We're here,
Yes.
fucking on the floor.
Right. Yeah. Raid has a violent connotation baked into the word generally when you hear it. So
It does.
That's true.
Like they're raiding a crack house somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about our good friend Lance.
Why do you say that? Oh, it hurts just
Oh, I'm sorry. Our not good
framing
friend
it that
Lance.
way.
The person we really don't like, Lance.
Let's talk about this piece of shit that runs around on the internet lying about people.
Yeah, it's so wild. Like, Lance, I feel like he lies so much on Twitter. It's so crazy.
That's all he does. That's his
Yes.
signature move.
It is like his signature move.
So oh look, he's including Nick Fuentes. So he's comparing Asmongold to Nick Fuentes.
So this is from a while ago, but it's kind of come up again, so I want to talk about it. Because I want to talk about it then, and then we just never had time. Asmongold, so Nick Fuentes was unbanned on Twitter this month. And obviously that's a very controversial thing. And so the Surfs tweets this thing out. He says, Asmongold calls neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes a, quote, mildly right-leaning political commentator.
Right.
Okay. And then he shows a screenshot of the video, and it says, Elon unbanned a, quote, white supremacist, which is not a good title. And then in the description, it says mildly right-leaning political commentator. Okay. Now, if you actually watched the video, it's very clear that that he's being sarcastic in the description.
Right. Okay.
That he knows what's going on. And we're going to watch a part of that video because I thought it was interesting because Asmongold, has some interesting things to say. And I generally like a lot of the stuff he says. And it's so dishonest to me that, Cersei always does this. He always tries to frame someone as like a huge bigot or a huge racist or a Nazi or whatever, as opposed to just watching whatever the thing is and saying, oh, well, it wouldn't be fair for me to do that. And Asmongold has since changed the title and description because the joke was lost or the sarcasm was lost because it was in text form. And you could say, like, listen, you probably shouldn't use sarcasm in like text of a description of a video or a title because it is opening yourself up to attack, but that doesn't justify people dishonestly attacking you.
Right. Yeah. If it can be seen in two ways, people are going to see it in the most nefarious way possible.
Right.
So
yeah, I want to play just a short 2-minute clip from the video that Lance is targeting here. Before I do, JMac, our surrogate father, thank you so much, Daddy JMac, for the $20. Says, hey, Sitch and Adam, who are our next debate targets? What poor three souls are we going to destroy with facts and logic next? Also working on something special for you, Adam. Keep your eyes peeled.
Sweet.
Look at that.
I don't know who'd be good.
Yeah, I said in the beginning of the stream, but yeah, JMac was in a debate conversation on Wick's stream yesterday. You can check out on Wick's channel, and I jumped in at like the last 10-15 minutes or so of it. And it was fun. It was great. It was great. It was Hutch was there. I don't think we've ever talked to Hutch, right?
No.
We
never.
talked to Josiah was there.
Joe
right?
Lewis and Josiah.
We talked to him
I think
before.
Josiah will come back on again and talk
Right.
to us. Definitely.
Joe Lewis was there, who we've talked to once, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He did not like apparently when he found out that JMac was a mod for us, he did not seem to be happy with that.
Yeah, a lot
That's
of
when I
people
knew
were
I had to
talking-
jump in. I was like, what's this?
A lot of people were talking smack about Sitch and Adam.
I was like, what is this?
We're like regular whipping boys
There you go.
for these leftists.
It was funny. And then there was someone else. I keep wanting to call him Corn Pop, but that wasn't his name. There was some other leftist there who was
Right.
Corn something, and had kind of an interesting conversation. So you could check that out on Wick's channel. And then after Wick ended it, I was on, I think, another like 10-15 minutes on Hutch's stream was still up, and I was kind of arguing about trans stuff because obviously they don't really understand the issues there. They're kind of just regurgitating the typical talking points we've heard. So, but yeah, no, JMac was on.
Well, I would rather have him on our stream where we could
That's true.
monetize.
That will.
I mean,
we'll
obviously.
get into that.
Yeah. So, yeah, look, I love to do it. Have a nice big old panel.
BW85 for 18 months says, but Sitch, you don't need a face reveal for Timcast IRL, just a Sitch mask or no cameras on you, but that's boring. Nice shades, Adam.
Yeah, look, I can do the shade thing. Sitch he needs a Bellagio mask, right? Bellagio? What's the mask that?
Oh, the Kanye
mask.
Balenciago.
Balenciago.
I don't know,
I don't know what
the
it
weird
is.
pedophile people. Yeah.
Why don't you just wear that mask and just put a little paper?
I want to be associated with those people. Adam.
Just put a little paper mouth on. You're
That
good
would
to
be
go.
so ridiculous. Could you imagine if I showed up, I had like a black stocking on my face and I just had like paper of like a Sitch face. That would be so stupid.
I think Logic.
I'm trying to have a serious
does it.
political conversation. Look like a retard.
Well, this is ultimately why I stopped using an avatar, because I was just
Exactly.
like, yeah,
Well, that's why I want to. I'm just lazy.
right.
So,
Is it laziness?
yeah. Self for $5 says apes together strong was a rallying cry during the OG short sell. Oh, okay. There you go.
Oh, so
Calling back to that. Still looks ridiculous. Not a good look for presidential candidate, but obviously he knows he can't win. Anyway, okay, the part of the Asmongold video I want to watch is like 2 minutes starting from here. Okay.
do they do that? It's probably a power fantasy more than anything, because I think a lot of people that are incels are generally marginalized. And so because they're marginalized, they just, again, they get more and more extreme. And then before you know it, they start celebrating school shooters. That viewpoint is becoming a lot more common now. And it actually like makes me wonder a lot about like what's going to happen in like 15 years. Because a lot of these people like, yeah, sure, some of them are going to like grow up and, you know, like stop doing that. But I mean, if things keep going down this road, like all of those people are now going to be able to vote, right? Anybody who's tweeting now is going to be in 15 years able to vote unless they're a felon. I think the way they get introduced to it is actually very simple. What ends up happening is that it's a person who's already marginalized by society, and then somebody comes in, whether it's Andrew Tate, Nick, you know, like any person, right? Any extremist, whether this is like ISIS, you know, any sort of like like though does like a, you know, like I'm trying to Nick Paul, no, not Nick Paul, Nick Fuentes, right? And Kanye, yeah, something like that. Hassan, I don't know if Hassan's really that's a pretty big stretch, right? But the point is that different people that feel marginalized in different ways will congregate to like one different person and then look for that person to like explain why it's not their fault. And I think that's one of the really big components to it, is that it's kind of goes back to what I was saying about like the lack of accountability that people have, where like people don't want to take accountability for mistakes that they make. They don't want to take accountability for things that they do wrong. But if they can blame it all on the Jews, or they can blame it all on black people, or all on women, or all on white people, then that gives them a reason to think that it's not their fault that they fucked up their life. And I think that's what happens.
Okay, so obviously if you watch this video, very clear Asmongold does not support Nick Fuentes or any of these fucking people. He literally compared him in the same category as ISIS. All right.
He did, yeah.
Yes. And he's laying out, yeah, like that you basically have people who are unhappy and they're looking for some scapegoat, and, you know, they could be black people or the Jews. So if Lance had, you know, any integrity or honesty in his body, he would have watched this video before he attacks Asmongold as being some kind of secret Nazi and been like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, because he's very clearly not.
Now, is it integrity or is Lance just stupid? Because I often wonder if Lance is just an idiot.
I mean, I feel like it's both.
Right.
I feel like it's both.
So look, if he it can't be both if he knows what he's doing is dishonest.
Or it could be he is stupid and dishonest. Not at the same, like, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying he's generally just stupid, but also dishonest. I think in this case it's dishonest because he always frames things like in a way where he's not quite saying the thing that's untrue. He just sort of frames it in a way to lead the reader to come to that conclusion, right?
Right.
Like he's not saying directly that Asmongold is some kind of Nick Fuentes, you know, simp, but he's framing the tweet in such a way that when you read that, if you don't know anything about Asmongold, you're like, oh, this guy's obviously trying to like help hide the ball on Nick Fuentes.
Well, if that's what he's doing, then he's smart and dishonest, because he's like, I need to craft this in a way that makes it
okay, maybe.
Yeah, that makes it, you know, makes a connection for people without coming right out and saying it, because then I will get in trouble, because then people will be able to say that I'm a dishonest piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't know. But I just realized my thing wasn't plugged in to the internet directly. So maybe the wireless was making my audio sound a little off.
Not sure. I mean, it's cleaned up over the course of the live stream. So
the Discord did turn up a little bit too, so I turned it down. You were correct.
I asked you before the stream if you had it open.
I know.
And you told me you did.
I did, but I didn't. I was looking at the wrong thing, because on Windows 11, it's stupid. They make it like very difficult to find the normal settings. Anyway, so there's another video of Lance I want to watch. This came kind of back up again because now we have the resurgence of the cracker drama. Okay. The resurgence of the cracker drama. So let's watch this. This is like,
I don't know if he's confused.
This is going to be like Inception levels of reacting. Okay, we have reactions on top of reactions on top of reactions.
My goodness, it's been a long time.
Yes.
Been a long time since we've had Lance's ugly face on this show.
I know. It's like we've been really missing out, okay?
You know who else we haven't had on in a long time?
Who?
Vosh.
You're right. I actually, a while ago, I was trying to look to see, and I was like, there were some things I'm like, maybe it's worth watching, but it just wasn't worth covering. It's kind of boring.
Yeah,
Dumb.
I subscribed to a couple of the Vosh clip channels, and I was like, wow, the views have really tanked on these clip channels. But I was too lazy to go over to Vosh's channel and see if his views were down.
I mean,
But
I don't know what they were before, but.
Right, but people clipping his stuff are dying.
Well, makes sense. People don't want to be associated with the pedo horse guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. The
That's
cartoon
kind of,
pornography.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. I think that really did hurt his brand significantly.
Ethan Klein kind of put him out of business, didn't he? That was the
Maybe.
last time we covered Vosh, I believe. Because Ethan Klein just did a complete number on that guy.
Right.
And it was hilarious.
Yep.
Okay.
All
right.
So let's jump into this.
Protesters need to have their skulls cracked. With this thumbnail appealed to me. You know, the video game meme of it all, and seeing this picture and that. And I'm curious. It says Twitch is officially cooked.
I mean, that is an amazing thumbnail. That is a top tier thumbnail. Yeah. Did you not see it?
Didn't seem.
Look at that. That's so good.
Racism unlocked.
Yes.
Okay.
Chat, isn't that a great thumbnail? Adam doesn't think so.
Seeing this picture and that. And I'm curious. It says Twitch is officially cooked.
Hassan thinks some stores are okay. What is this? Is this about the cracker thing? Holy shit.
Context.
So I personally donated 10K because I think it is worthwhile. And if you guys got some extra bread, I would recommend you donate. But I won't throw.
Hell yeah! Donate to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. I'm also fundraising for this charity event. I'm very proud to be part of it. Really cool.
So we can see this. He kind of just talks about donating the Palestinian kids, but this has that.
How much has he raised? I want to know. How much has he raised for Palestinian kids?
Well,
$28,000? Is that him or he's?
This is just the overall share.
Everyone's pooling together.
No, this is. It says 628,000.
Oh, it's cut off.
It's cut off, but you see, because it says underneath, it says next milestone is 750.
Wow. Okay.
So a lot of money, but it just does have the big problem. I don't know about the specific charity, but it does have the big problem that Lance ran into but didn't want to acknowledge before, which is if you're giving money to some kind of Palestinian cause or charity, is there some way to make sure Hamas doesn't just steal it all?
Right. The answer to that is no.
Right. So it's kind of like messed up. It's like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, fundraising for Hamas. Go, guys. Look, maybe you'll make $1 million.
Yep.
Oh, I guess Ludwig is involved too.
There you go.
Look, and Frogan, your favorite character.
So the thing that started this all off was Ludwig donated $10,000 to this charity. And then he said that, well, if you don't want to donate to the charity, that's fine. And apparently Frogan, one of the worst people on the internet, said, oh, well, that's a cracker take, and started insulting him for not pressuring his audience into also donating money to this charity.
Right. The non-cracker take is like aggressive panhandling, right?
Yes.
Where you say, fuck you, you're going to donate to this thing. Get your fucking wallet out.
I guess so.
That's a non-cracker take.
It's always a good look when someone that is, Frogan, there's a stereotype there. I don't know
I
if
know.
you really want to be playing into, okay?
Frogan, you might want to dial this back a bit.
Yeah, you might want to watch out. I think you're stepping in some things you don't mean to step into. But yeah, but you know what? Who wants to be part of a group of people who, when you donate to the cause they want, they insult you?
Oh, yeah.
That's not a very good look.
Yeah.
Not only they insult you, they use racial slurs against you.
Yeah. Cracker.
Still a very volatile culture to stand up for Palestinian liberation. I was accused of fundraising for terrorists. I was accused of being a terrorist myself. And that had
all true, by the way, you guys.
part two.
Lance has never presented any evidence that he is not a terrorist.
There you go. There you go.
do with Destiny falsely accusing me of raising money for a terrorist organization.
Some people are going to say that, you know what I mean? That's why it's the difference.
This is a cracker take.
About whether that's worthwhile?
Take. And if you're not against genocide at this point, like, keep your fucking money. Keep your $10,000.
Ludwig donates $10,000 to the cause that she agrees with, and she calls him a cracker. Come on, man. What the fuck are you doing?
So I guess the discourse is going to be opened back up, right? It's happening again. I can't, by the way, even though I'm white, you know, even though I am a creamy, oh, can I even say the H word? Is it the H word on Twitch? I'm too afraid. Twitch is really stringent with its use of hosts and slurs.
Just what you want to be terrified that you're going to say the wrong thing on the platform, right?
Oh, that's a racial slur, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Don't worry,
I want to point out here, this might be a record for us. I think this is the 4 degrees of react. We have Frogan reacting to Ludwig, who is, no, wait, I'm doing it backwards.
Ludwig
We're
is
reacting to Lance. Lance is reacting to Asmongold. Asmongold's reacting to Frogan. Frogan's reacting to Ludwig. We have completed the cycle of reacception, okay?
Wait, isn't Ludwig reacting to Hassan? I mean, I see a little Hassan in the box there.
I think, no, Hassan is... Then it's a different clip of Hassan reacting to Frogan reacting to Ludwig.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, which is a whole nother layer onto this cake of reactions. Okay, this is
This is
peak
great.
reacting. All right.
Yes. React harder, Sitch.
Okay.
Do it, all right. I won't say the C word with the hard R. You know, I can say a lot of things. I can call myself the walking chalk, you know, or a mayonnaise man. I can say that, right? I can say I'm a mayonnaise man. Is that fine? Is that fine for you? You know, the fucking how about an upside down egg? Is that one okay? Either way, I'm not too afraid of people.
So fucking cringe. Oh my god.
It is totally
So
because it's
cringe.
stupid. He's not really addressing the situation. The situation is whenever, like, the context of her using the slur is she's saying, like, all white people act this way.
Of course. Right.
Yeah.
And also just, it seems so desperate. Like, look at me, guys. I'm cool. I'll insult myself racially too. Can I be like, accept me. Look, I'm a Mayo man. Ha 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 ha. Like, it just seems like a little pathetic kid who's being made fun of, running after, like,
Totally.
the quote cool kids. Like,
Totally.
listen, I can make fun of myself too. I'm a loser. You're like, oh god, so cringe.
You don't have to beat me. I can beat myself. Look,
Yeah,
I'm
look, I'm
beating
hitting-
myself for you.
I'm slapping myself in the face. Look, let me hang out with you guys. Like, oh god, Lance, please have some dignity. Jeez. Also, upside down egg. I don't even. Why is the egg upside down? I didn't even heard that one. What is that even supposed to mean? It's a weird one. I was like, what?
All of these insults are not really.
All right.
Calling me those things. You know, you can even be a term of endearment, you know, especially as we white people have to reclaim a lot of these words.
Two wrongs don't make a right. He was bad and trying to appeal to everyone and not take a real solid stance, but Frogan should have called him that. No, I don't give a shit about like someone being called a cracker, okay? As someone who is white and has like used that word myself, I think that people that are using that to be like, this is a racial slur against white people is like fucking ridiculous.
So here's the thing. Cracker is not a racial slur, but if
It is the discourse. Yeah, I feel like we're going to have to suffer having these conversations in perpetuity, you know? And like they really just appeal to people who haven't got there yet, ultimately. Like everyone's on a journey. Everyone's on their own journey, including white folk. And white folk are figuring stuff out. And, you know, we're all trying to deprogram tons of our biases. Doesn't matter if you're white, black, doesn't matter what race you are. You could be mixed race, you know, you could be white presenting even. Doesn't matter who or what you are. Everyone's figuring this stuff out. We're all on a journey together.
Is it interesting that all the subconscious social biases that we're learning to unprogram, it's like only white people have these biases against non-white people, right? You can't possibly have anti-white racial biases that you need to deprogram from your mind.
Sitch, that's completely incorrect. All human beings have these biases. Yeah.
No. You don't understand. White people control everything
No.
in the entire world, okay? And so therefore, there's no possible way in any society that there'd be some kind of anti-white racial stereotype that is being perpetuated in modern times. That just does not happen. I've never seen any evidence of that ever happening except everywhere on leftist internet spaces.
I mean, this was what was infuriating about that stream you did last night with Joe Lewis, because it's pretty obvious Joe Lewis is racist against white people. Like a lot of the things that he's saying, like if you said that about black people, people would call you a racist, and I think rightly so, right? This idea, and it's kind of a meme now that black people can't be racist, right? Brown people can't be racist. I think that meme needs to change to black people are allowed to be racist, because that's exactly what's going on. Don't delude yourself. Don't think it's impossible for them to be racist. It's just socially acceptable for them to be racist because nobody calls them out on it. They're too afraid they're going to use their power to insinuate that you're a racist. So yeah,
exactly.
People are running scared. White, and look, Lance is a perfect example of this, right? Like he's like, oh my God, they could call me racist and I could be canceled.
Exactly.
So he's worried about that. Yeah.
It's interesting too, because there was a time where they were really trying to push the whole black people can't be racist thing. They're not racist. They're just bigoted, right? And that kind of like it still exists in some respect, but it also like I feel like most people are too embarrassed to say it publicly. They weren't so embarrassed to say that a few years ago. Now they're kind of embarrassed to say it. They try to kind of hide that, even though they still believe it.
Who? I've heard that constantly. Like you hear that in big videos, big produced videos.
Really? I don't know. I don't hear it so much in the big public spaces the way I used to hear it. Like you used to see articles about it in like mainstream newspapers. You used to see it like very mainstream sources, and now it's kind of been more regulated back
black
to like
people can't be racist.
Yeah.
Black people can't be racist. I think it's Jezebel, I think was the last time I heard it, where they do that. It's basically like a talk show. They get people together that are talking to one another.
Yeah, there was some person on the panel that said that, right?
Yeah, that said, black people can't be racist.
Right. Yeah.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
That's impossible. It's physically impossible.
Right.
Okay. You think it's on the wane?
I think it's definitely on the wane. I mean, I think, to be clear, I think they still believe it. I think they're just more gun shy about saying it publicly because it's so obviously stupid.
I wish they would just say black people are allowed to be racist.
Right, which is what they really mean. Yeah.
And along that journey, I'm going to reiterate the same point that I've always been saying. White people are going to be okay. These words, they don't hold the ability to be part of a systemic system that is racially oppressing you.
I hate this guy. I hate him with every fiber of my being. So it's like this whole systemic thing. It's like, oh, it's okay because this systemic thing, that's what makes it okay for black people to be racist pieces of shit whenever they want. But white people, if you do just a microaggression, then all of a sudden it's like a genocide of an entire group of people.
Right. And also it doesn't, I mean, first of all, it's a complete non sequitur because obviously just because there's some idea about institutional power has nothing to do with whether someone said something that's racist, right? And
of course.
I do completely disagree with Asmongold here. Cracker is a racial slur. That is the definition of it. Obviously, it doesn't have the same weight as the N-word, but it is still, by definition, a racial slur. You are using someone's race to attack them in a slur-like fashion, right?
Of course. So, and the biggest part of it for me is you're creating a stereotype. You're basically saying all of these people that are, all white people do this or all black people do this. Yes. That's the problem.
Of course, right. But they don't understand, like they're so dumb or dishonest to articulate why racial slurs are even bad in the first place, I guess.
Right.
So, I mean, they're leftists, so maybe they don't care about individualism and people being treated as individuals as long as it, benefits their political ideology.
Even this narrative about systemic power creates a racist stereotype about white people.
Yes.
It
100%,
does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny that he's going to this thing and just, he's basically playing into the racist stereotype.
Well, and also it's not even like, how is it even true when we live in a world where if you say anything remotely perceived of as being racist against a non-white person, it's like the fury of 100 suns crashes down on you. But if you say something that's racist against white people, you get all this hemming and hawing about like, well, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, is it even a big deal? Is it even possible? Like, so isn't that the show the exact opposite of what he's saying? That there's systemic racism a lot. If racism against white people is literally allowed publicly, how can you say that there's systemic racism that's like massively in favor of white people at the same time? Doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
For being white. You can be oppressed for a number of reasons if you are a white person in this world. For a number of reasons. Yes, there's class oppression. You can be poor. You can come from a poor family. You can come from an abusive family. You can come from a broken home. All of that is valid and real. And yes, that is going to contribute towards your difficulties in life for sure. There's lots of different ways. You could be gay, for example. You can be a gay white person and then suffer under homophobic stereotypes because we live in a homophobic society. It is true. It is absolutely true. You can be a trans white person and
Look, he's laying out how if you're white, you can climb the oppression hierarchy. He's basically giving you a how-to guide.
Right, right.
and have to suffer discrimination in a cis-normative world. All of that, 100% true. But in terms of, you know, in the world, if someone calls you that, it's not contributing to a systemic oppression of your being. You're not not getting a rental property because someone said the C word to you, right? That's why, again, it's just very laughable. That's why I meme.
Okay, someone angry in traffic cuts off, gets cut off by a black person. They shout the N-word at them. Does Lance understand that them shouting the N-word at them does not magically put a voodoo curse on them that makes it so the next time they apply for rental property, they say, well, I was gonna rent this out to you, but I see you have emblazoned above your soul the N-word from when you cut this guy off in traffic, so I'm no longer gonna allow you to rent this property.
Of course not.
That's not how systemic racism works. Okay. It's like under this, could you have a hypothetical situation where there's a black man and a white man who are stranded on an island away from society and was like, well, they're not society, so I guess they have N-words free use, right? Because you can't systemically discriminate against them because they're both in the same level playing field here. Because it's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, he's saying, look, if you're black, people might not want to rent to you.
I understand that, but someone using a slur against you in an unrelated context has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, of course. Look, they're completely unrelated.
Yes.
When he talks about the systemic racism, if you're obviously there are laws against, not renting to somebody based on their ethnicity, right?
Right.
But I mean, there are also laws saying that you have to hire a certain number of people. So, like, if you're white, you might not get a job.
Right.
How's that not systemic racism?
I mean, that's what bore out in the affirmative action case, right?
Yeah, look,
especially if you're Asian, if you're white.
Yeah, if you're Asian, you might not get into Harvard.
Right.
Yeah. But no, that's not systemic oppression or anything.
No, of course not.
This entire conversation every time it comes up, because at the end of the day, it's like when people start talking about Karen, when they're like, well, Karen is a sexist term though, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, you're kind of just doing a stereotype of women, aren't you? Well, okay, let's rob that then of its genderness. Men can be Karens. Men Karen all the time. DJ Vlad is a fucking Karen. DJ Vlad is a massive Karen. Are you fucking kidding me? Yes, DJ Vlad is a Karen as Karen. Karen, the term, comes from weaponizing whiteness and how white women can weaponize their own tears and utilize them in a way in which they may not actually be threatened or about to be attacked by a black person, but they can get that black person lynched, killed, arrested, beaten up.
So he's using the racist version of Karen. Remember when we went back and forth about how there's two versions of Karen, one racist one and one not racist one? Lance immediately goes to the racist one.
Well, okay, we have to bring back the eternal question: Lance, stupid or smart? Right? It's like,
oh yeah, I know.
It's like, is Nicolas Cage a good actor or a bad actor? Right? No one knows.
Ooh, that's a tough one too.
Right? Is it both? It seems like it's both, right? It's the same thing with Lance. Because Lance, to be clear, okay, Lance just said, like, people say Karen is a sexist thing, right? But it's not sexist. It doesn't have to be associated with women. You can call a guy a Karen. And he says that for like 20 seconds, and then he immediately
And
says,
then immediately.
Karen, applies to white women using their and you're like, oh, okay, so it is a specific gendered slur, you idiot. Like, what the you just said it wasn't, and then you just said it was.
Can you imagine a white guy like weaponizing his tears?
Yeah, of course. Oh, that's a very common thing. All the time that the white men are weaponizing their tears to get a black guy in trouble. That happens quite often, right? So yeah, no, but this is what I said. Karen is both a racist and sexist term that is used to look at a person. This is what it is used. Okay, and this is how you know it is a slur and how it does have systemic power, even despite Lance trying to lie otherwise. Okay, you have the situation, right? You have the situation with the woman in the dog park in New York, which turned out she was completely justified or in the right. You have the situation with the woman with the city bike, who also was completely in the right. And you have racist people and sexist people look at them and they look at the skin color of the participants in the interaction. They say, well, this woman is a white woman interacting with a black male who is upset. Therefore, I'm going to automatically take the side of the black male's position here without knowing the facts or understanding the facts whatsoever. And I'm going to call her a racist, sexist slur in order to leverage her race and her gender against her in a way to discredit her position in this conflict, right?
Yes.
That's what you're doing. It is literally a slur and is literally the exact example of using someone's race and gender against them in a systemic way. Okay.
Yeah.
If they falsely accuse them of something and then suddenly try to use, again, their whiteness in a situation where it could endanger someone, that's where the whole thing comes from women, specifically white women, thinking that they should have privileges in society.
Look, and then he even says specifically white women.
I know. Not sexist, though.
And not recognize their whiteness in the process. Can I speak to the manager because I should be able to get the thing I want now? I deserve it. I'm not used to not getting that thing that I want at the time that I want it. So this moment in time, but that's not specific to women because again, DJ Vlad, great example.
He just said it was
massive ass Karen, huge ass Karen.
If you call a white person a cracker whenever you're referring to their race, it is. Monkey isn't a slur. But whenever you call a black person a monkey when you're referring to their race,
So black people have been and continue to be systemically oppressed racially for the color of their skin. And so, yes, using racist slurs, especially if you happen to be a white person towards a black person, will carry with them more power, and they are also part again of a society-wide systemic oppression of racialization.
How do people watch this content? So it's just like, oh god,
mind-numbing.
It's like negative charisma here.
I don't know. You're right. Negative charisma, and then what he's saying is just retarded.
Yeah.
On top of it, it's like a double dose. And he's just copying. It's so annoying. They all copied the same thought terminating cliche here. Hassan said the exact same thing. It's like, it's not it's like the underpants gnome logic. Well, it's not a racial slur because it's ridiculous that people say cracker has the same weight to it as the N-word.
Right.
Okay, well, no one said that. That's not what the argument is. The argument is that's a racial slur and you shouldn't say it regardless of whether it's as bad as the N-word. And then they just repeat themselves. But systemically, it's ridiculous to say it's the same. No one's saying it's the same, Lance. No one's saying it's the same, Hassan. It doesn't mean that it's suddenly magically not a racial slur and that it's okay to use racism against people.
Yeah. Yes. Where it is in the category has no bearing on whether or not it's in the category.
Right.
Treating people differently for different categories, whereas white people don't experience that. So no, it is not the same. These things are not the same. Different things are different. Absolutely.
Different things are different, Sitch. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Oh my God. How much more of this do I have to watch?
Can everyone recognize the difference in severity?
It's so... Lance is just...
awful.
All he does is say just like canned phrases that he's heard in other videos.
Right.
Like he doesn't really bring anything new or interesting to the topic. All he does is repeat the party line, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has like he has like an algorithmic response sheet programmed into
Yeah,
him
of
that has
course.
the pre-programmed answers he can give to any situation. It's like beep beep boop, we are in Cracker Discourse. Beep boop boop, define systemic racism. Beep boop boop, meh, 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 and he like prints out the definition for you.
Right. Where content creators can add value is they can say it in a way that makes it clearer. They can add examples that make things more obvious. They can say it like charismatically. They can make jokes about it. There are all these different ways that you can add to the discourse. Lance does none of those. Absolutely none of them.
Well,
Yes.
no, actually, you're wrong. He does add something. Okay.
Cringe factor.
He is a cringy simp of a white male who is saying, it's okay, guys, for you to be racist and sexist against white men, because I'm a white man. Here's my seal of approval.
You're right. He's like the token. He's a
Yeah, there you
token
go.
self-hating white person.
There it is.
Yeah.
And he's Canadian. So it's like a double one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we love to hate on Canadians.
There you go. Let us free you. Okay. Anyway, we don't have to watch the rest of it, but it's kind of just the same thing.
Oh,
All right.
it is funny when Lance comes on because Lance, he does try little slimy tactics with you.
Mm-hmm.
Where his ultimate goal is to come on your show and do some like slimy thing, get you to say something that he can somehow spin into a racism or a sexism or a homophobia and go back to his audience and completely play it up. Oh, look, I unmasked this person as the evil racist that I've portrayed them to be for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
That's his move.
Yes, and that's what was so like ridiculous about last night with Joe and Corn Pop.
Oh yeah.
It's like they're like wouldn't even acknowledge that it's acceptable to say that different cultural values can have different moral weights to them.
Yeah.
Like, oh really? Okay.
Well, that's not acceptable for them. That was what was interesting about it because
so insane. Like,
but yeah, if there was like a moment of silence when Wick brought up the whole idea about put it in the context of the Israel-Palestine thing.
Right.
Because
yeah,
it completely makes their position on that contradictory.
Yep.
Like you could hear them thinking, "Oh, wow. That's like a giant contradiction in my position." Yeah, it is.
It was pretty funny, yeah.
You're like, "Oh no, we can't think of cultures as better than one another."
Right. When
go ahead.
Well, which by the way, they're like lying too, because obviously they believe that if you had a culture rooted around fascism, they would say that that's morally inferior and worse than a culture rooted around socialism.
Right.
And socialist ideas, right? But they want to just frame it as like, well, you have to look at it through some weird race lens. I'm like, that's not what anyone's talking about. Not at least in this conversation anyway, but okay. Playing the Escape Quarter for $2 says, hate modern Windows setting, solid rant highlight. Yeah, it's so obnoxious. I don't know if you've seen this, because actually I don't even know if you have modern Windows. But like, like on the modern Windows, when you right click, it like it doesn't even have like cut and paste. Did you know that?
Really? What? How's that possible?
Did Adam leave? Oh, yeah.
No, I'm here.
Or did I just get cut out for a second? Oh, okay. Yeah, if you right click on something, it doesn't say like it doesn't have cut and paste. It doesn't have the normal like window. It has little visual icons that represent cut and paste. Even though it's like, why would you do that? For like people can read the words cut and paste and copy. You actually have to click a separate button that says like see more options to get the normal right click menu. It is so annoying, this like trend of we need to keep simplifying UIs until there's like one button for everything. And it's like, well, I need more than one fucking button. Okay. Can we not do this, please?
Right.
Who is like, what kind of boomer in the year 2024? I know it's old people, right? But what person who's like under the age of 70 is like confused when they hit the right click on a mouse? They look, oh, what? There's so many little settings here. Copy, paste, open, view. What do I properties? Rename, delete. I don't know what all these words mean.
Yeah. I'm with you. Look, they want to change things oftentimes just to change things
Yes.
so that they can say, look, this is new. Pay us again for
I
it.
get, yeah, that's part of it. That is true. That's part of it. It's part of why I like the Samsung so much better than the iPhone is that the Samsung has the 3 buttons at the bottom and the
Right.
iPhone doesn't, and it's so annoying. Oh my God.
iPhone has buttons at the bottom.
It has no like on well it's on this I mean it's on the screen technically. But like, the Samsung it has the 3 buttons at the bottom of the screen. It's the back button, the middle button which just turns everything that goes back to the home page, and then it has the left button which shows you all the tabs you have open. And
Okay.
the Apple phones don't have that. They have like one of those buttons, and it's just like, can we just have buttons? Can we bring back buttons? Even if it's on the screen, I don't care. We need buttons. We need interfacing. All right. I don't
You
want to
and
have to
your
remember that, like, if I want to open all the windows on my phone, that I have to like twist my phone upside down, throw it in the air, clap twice, and then catch it. That's not easier than pressing a button on the screen. Okay.
Way to straw man Apple. How dare you?
Okay. Whatever. Forget it. I don't like Apple products.
Really?
No.
You should buy Apple stock.
Well, that's a different question. I might, because there is some talk. There is some talk about Apple is going to end up hooking up with OpenAI and using their AI instead of developing their own, which is kind of funny. But
Oh, that'll be a boon.
yep,
That'll be a
yeah,
boon to my Apple stock.
there you go.
I bought Apple before the pandemic too, which
Very
was like,
smart. Very smart.
yeah, sweet deal.
Kane X122 for $10 says, since we're back on the topic of cracker and slurs, I saw a video by Kirsch where she was reading off a list of slurs against white people. Guess what word was on there? Colonizer.
Oh yeah, colonizer's definitely a slur.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though
100%.
colonialism is in fact the best culture of all.
Is it now?
Look, how can you be for multiculturalism and be against colonialism? I don't get it.
What do you mean?
Well, look, the colonialist effort is to go out and assimilate all cultures.
Well, I mean, the colonial effort is basically to generally take over all cultures and replace them, supplant them with your own, right? I don't think it's to assimilate them.
No, you're just organizing the culture.
Oh, okay. Okay. Metalface Rose for $5 says, you cannot convince me that Lance is not just an elaborate performance art piece. That's true.
It's
That's true.
just it's not good though.
No.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
It's like if he's art, he's the equivalent of like the generic box with just the black writing on it.
Mm-hmm. Playing the Escape Corner sent me a video from 4 months ago where he spent 6 minutes trying to find audio properties because they changed it. New Windows. It is terrible. Why do they change it? It's so dumb.
Why'd you guys get new Windows?
Because
What
they
happened?
force you to do it. You just wake up
When?
one day and it's like, here's Windows 11. You're like, wait, I didn't want this. And it's like, nope, suck it. And you're like, oh my God.
They didn't force me to get Windows 11.
Yeah, but it depends on there's some like hardware requirement or something. Like if it doesn't have some I don't know what it is. If you don't have some specific hardware, like it gives you an option or it doesn't force you to do it.
Okay.
No.
So you have some piece of hardware in your machine that only runs on Windows 11.
No. There's some piece of hardware. There's some piece of hardware that they say, oh, well, you have this, so we're not going to update your computer because you have this. Like it's not compatible or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Because I have a computer that has Windows 10 and I have a laptop that's Windows 11.
Right.
That
And the
so
laptop they forced you to update.
Yes.
Because I have a laptop and they didn't force me. They're like begging me. They're down on their knees. Oh yes, please let us update your computer. Why are you being such a dick?
I know the
let
laptop,
us just update.
The laptop I got was
I'm
significantly
like,
newer.
no, bitch, fucking stop asking me.
The laptop I have is significantly newer than the computer, and there wasn't even an option. It was just like, boom, get updated.
Oh, really?
I was like, what? So, okay. Moondoggy for $10 says, I listen to some gay drag queen focused podcasts and they still use the people's our argument when they talk about culture and racism. Guess whom one of them loves? FD Signifier and Cat Black. There you go.
Of course, yeah.
What's
But
the
both those guys are.
Mm-hmm.
people don't change their
advocates of
minds.
people's equals are, yeah.
People do not change their minds. They die, and new people are born. That's
Right.
the only way things change.
Well, some people change their mind, but it's not
No,
anywhere near
never.
as often. Okay, never. Okay, never.
Well, it's not enough to build any sort of critical mass around culture. Like, yeah, okay, you get 1% to change their minds.
I don't know. I'm not that pessimistic, but I agree with you that a lot of it is just people dying off, which is why I'm worried about all the woke shit, is that they're having a young generation that's gonna be inculcated with this nonsense. We're gonna be stuck with it for the next 60, 70 years.
Yeah, it is. That's why people argue so much over culture, because they know that's the only way it changes. They're like, or rather education, because they know whatever the young people are taught, that's going to be the culture for the next 50 years.
Right. Caleb for $5 says, even if every economic inequality was flattened, it would still suck to have hateful racial slurs used towards you. Very true. Melface Rose for $5 says, Karen was culturally appropriated from retail workers. That's our word. That is also true.
I thought
That is
so.
true. Yeah, that is also true. So
Karen was, so if you work retail, as soon as somebody says, let me talk to your manager, that's when the Karen slur comes out. But that is not, I mean,
Lance,
anyone
yeah.
can say that. It's not race. It's not gender, right? Anyone can say that.
Mm-hmm. And then they stole it and they said, no, it's like a racist white woman trying to get a black guy killed thing.
Well, they're like saying, you know, let me talk to the cops is like, let me talk to your manager. So I see
where
it came from, how it,
That's true.
yeah,
They stole it.
they did.
Chad Summer for €2 says, Dev is in fact short for devil, a really fat one. There you go. Keep bullying him, Chad. One day.
One
We'll get Dev
day
in shape.
he'll be here.
Planescape Corner. Oh, there it is. Planescape Corner for $2 says, I DM Stitch my 5-minute rant on settings back on Windows 10. Yeah, I need to check to see if there's a way to just like have it default back to like be the Windows 10 thing, because I really don't like the new settings. Mr. Borelli for $20. Thank you so much, Mr. Borelli. Says Tim Pool and Benny Johnson gassing up their audience over standard SW procedures triggered me yesterday. Their coverage was so wildly dishonest. They are leading contributors to the growing retardation of the right wing. I mean, after the clip that we saw, I don't disagree. We've only covered Benny Johnson once. It was the devil statue conversation, and he had a really dumb take on that as well. So I'm not surprised, though I haven't seen his take on this thing.
Well, that is the way to grow a giant channel. It's so easy. You just get out there and lie and gas people up. And a lot of people don't want to do it because they have some sort of integrity. But
right,
I don't know. Tim Pool's, I guess the money's taken over and he's just like, got to keep those numbers up.
it's pretty bad. Yeah. Ocracy for $5 says, speaking of stocks, did you know that NVIDIA is responsible for something like 40% of all S&P growth over the last year? Wow. I didn't,
Yeah,
I mean, I know NVIDIA is crazy. I didn't know it was that crazy.
What is it? NAVA? Because it was supposed to, NVIDIA was supposed to report earnings today, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's at 949.
Yeah, what happened to it today?
It went down.
It did.
Points, yeah.
NVIDIA earnings report, stock market today. Stocks take a leg lower. Fed minutes with NVIDIA's earnings. Did it report earnings yet?
Jesus. Now that's the stock, if you had invested in,
Oh, yeah.
you would just be like a billionaire, right? Because, oh my God.
The valuation is so insane on NVIDIA. Yeah. Like, do not buy NVIDIA. Well, look, they always say the market can stay crazy longer than you can stay solvent. So, like, maybe it's going to go up from here, but
more than 949. I mean, it could, I guess, theoretically, but geez.
So price to earnings is a thing people usually look at.
Mm-hmm.
The price of the stock to the earnings that the stock brings in.
Mm-hmm.
It's at almost 80, which is like huge.
Well, yeah, this is crazy. So at the beginning of this year, it was at 494. And now it's at 949. Okay. It's insane. That's crazy. I guess because all the AI stuff and I mean, because at first I thought NVIDIA was going crazy because of the bit mining. And now I guess because of AI stuff, so makes sense. But it's still pretty cray. I bet Intel's like, why do we suck so much? Just crying in the corner.
So the market closes at 1 my time. So I guess I don't know, they might be in the middle of their earnings call right now.
Mm-hmm.
The stock is kind of like moving around.
No, I guess that's something. Do you think Intel's ever going to recover?
Intel?
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't really follow Intel.
Because they would be the theoretical possible competitor with NVIDIA, but they're just, I don't know. They don't seem like they get their shit together. That would be like risky, maybe. Or could we have a conversation in 5 years and say, why didn't you put everything in Intel? Who knows, right?
Oh,
Don't take any investment advice from me. I'm a retard.
I wish you would have taken some investment advice.
I should have taken it from you, right? But not from me. So. Though I guess theoretically, if it wasn't for NVIDIA, all that money would be in other stocks, right? So just be spread out. So.
NVIDIA's up 100%. So you basically doubled your money in 6 months if you bought NVIDIA 6 months ago.
It's more than that. It was like 4 something. Now it's at 9. Well, I guess it was 4.
If you
Okay, I guess you're right. Yeah.
If you bought NVIDIA a year ago, you're up 200%.
Right. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Moncor002 for $5 says, I never changed my mind because I have to make it up first. I like that. That's good. Puck971 for $5 says, Windows 11 makes sure you run a script that stops a lot of the bloatware that Microsoft installs, like tracking. If you Google Windows 11 decrapifier. Oh, thank you. I will 100% check that out. Because I was annoyed that it is insane. I bought my mom a laptop recently. And it has I think it's like 16 gigabytes of RAM or something. And I turned it on, and it's like using half of it doing nothing. I was like, what the fuck? This is terrible. Like, what the hell? Half of the RAM is just dedicated to just existing on? Like, that's so ridiculous. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like surfing the internet, checking their stock rate.
Not even surfing the internet, just being on, and it was already using like 8 gigs of RAM.
No, I'm talking about the computer. The computer has a life of its own.
I see what you're saying. Right, yeah. So I was just like, what the fuck is this nonsense?
Okay. What's this here? What's this?
What? What are you looking at?
After hours NVIDIA up $35. Up $38. So something was said in the earnings call right now that is like making people buy the stock. Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. Look, a lot of people, when they trade stocks, they play earnings. Like they go in and they do a bunch of research trying to find out if they're going to hit or miss. Because a lot of times when the earnings calls come out, if it's a hit, if they do better than expected, the stock will shoot up. If they do worse than expected, the stock will shoot down. So you buy or short based on that. So, yeah. So a lot of people will just, like, you buy some NVIDIA today, they report after the bell, it pops 3 or 4%, and then you just sell it all. You made 3 or 4% on your money in like a day. Right?
If you have the ability or the knowledge to do that, I guess. Sure.
Or you could just gamble and just do it and
okay.
just see what happens, right?
I don't know.
You don't know what the earnings call. I mean, you could do all the research. Look, you're good at research. I don't know why you're not doing this stuff. Okay, now it's up 5% or 4.65%. Here, why don't I just bring it up in the other window? You guys can watch it bounce around.
That's hilarious.
I can't believe you've never traded stocks and stuff.
You're right. Yeah, that's hilarious. Like literally a couple minutes ago, it was down 4. Now it's up.
Yeah, because it's the earnings call.
Yeah. It's still down, I guess. It's saying it's still down today overall, though, but not by much.
Well, look, the after hours is all that matters. Once the market closes, they lock it at a price.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that after hours price won't show up until tomorrow morning when the market opens.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a gap up by 4 or 5%.
Right.
There you
Interesting.
can
Well,
see the after hours.
I'm not smart enough to gamble on any of this stuff.
I don't know how you can say that, but
Oh, to answer the question I was asked in the beginning, I forgot I do have an anime waifu.
oh, it is
Darkness. Darkness from
Darkness.
Konosuba.
Oh,
That's the waifu, everybody.
that's the 11-year-old.
No, stop it. It is not. She is an adult. Okay.
That's a short stack goblin.
No. It is not. Okay.
Oh my
It is not.
god. Oh, it's so bad.
Listen, I'm not pulling a Vosh here, all right?
As long as she's like 1,000-year-old demon, you're good.
She is the insane masochist like weirdo in Konosuba.
Oh, look, PC's watching the Nvidia earnings. Adam, the call is at 5 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so
There you go.
this is what happened. The pop is from the report. They'll come out and they'll say, here are our earnings, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they do the call, they kind of talk about how they came to that number and whatnot. So this pop is probably from them just dropping the earnings, whatever it was per share. Could probably look that up.
Okay, well, is that it? You want to talk more about
okay.
NVIDIA?
Is PC the last super chat?
He is.
Okay. I guess we're not streaming tomorrow. We are streaming on Sunday, so see you Sunday.
We'll have some videos up, but we'll see you live Sunday. But you can watch our videos for the rest of the week.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.